You're listening to Happy Hour with Joby and Curtis.
Coconut. Welcome back to Happy Hour with Joby and Curtis.
Make sure to keep all that in.
We're sitting here with Jason, who is filling in for Joby this evening. Hello, Jason.
Hello.
Hi there. And we've got Stephen Gertman. So as from Ascendant Spirits, let me get that out of the way. And then you go to ascendantspirits.com. You can find all the important things that you need to know about, thank you, sir, about Ascendant Spirits. The Ascendant Spirits.
Water on delivery is important right now for Curtis. A few of the things we're going to learn on the website, Stephen, is one, about the distillery. There's some great photos of your still and the facilities. We're going to learn about the lineup. And we've got 2 more tonight to taste from the lineup.
Right.
Plus all the great new products that are coming down the pipe. But also the social media platforms that you're engaged with as well. So you can follow Ascendant Spirits and know what's going to be new, where they're at, and all the cool cocktails that they're consulting or inspiring.
One of the things I did not get a chance to see, to look through, was the blog section on there. Do you put recipes on that portion?
We're actually about to add a recipes page,
Okay,
or tab, that our man Jeremy Lake has done most of the work on. So it's something we were lacking that we've been talking about doing. And actually, there's a video on there on the main page of me and my friend shot another video of Jeremy making some cocktails. And then he got another job. So
Jeremy.
No, not Jeremy, the guy shooting the video.
Oh, okay. I was like,
so
Jeremy, damn
he's
you.
never edited the video of the cocktails, I don't think, but
Okay.
he was doing it for free, so I can't really be mad at him.
Sure.
But that will be updated now with stuff for every single one of our expressions. Since you
Fabulous.
guys like that word so
Yeah,
much.
I do like that. And I think we should encourage everyone to start using that. When we're talking about the liquor lineup from a distillery, they may have multiple expressions in their lineup.
And using the term expressions, which is our brand new favorite word this evening, and especially when we hand out these, give you the websites for anyone, whether it's a brewery, winery, distillery, make sure to check to see if they've got a blog page, and then you can kind of get some really nice insight. You can get some of the character of the people who are working there, who are running the place. But then also these drinks. I mean, if you're a budding mixologist and you're looking to impress your friends, go to the source. They've got the best recipes for their beverages.
And I didn't see any rants on there, Stephen, but I imagine that the blog is a certain level of outlet for you. It's a way to keep your sanity a little bit and get some cool information or some cool perspective out to your consumer base.
It's largely a platform for education. I'm not much of a crazy ranting and raver sort of person. Damn these people,
What's with people?
But those nights that you've been distilling late in the evening or tasting stuff coming out of the barrel and you decide, I've just got to crash on the cot in the distillery, you may be inspired to write a little bit about your experience or what's.
I don't think I would publish something if I needed to crash on the cod. That's usually not the time.
It's a drunk text rule, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think that applies to this, right?
Do you see my wishful thinking?
Yeah,
right
I
there?
know. I should just put the keyboard away.
I'm usually pretty good at being like, I'll write a draft, but I'm not going to send it to anyone.
I will actually write it in Word, so there's no chance of me hitting publish.
Let's talk after the show because I need some of your guidance on how to just stick to the draft.
Willpower, pure willpower. But shall we get on to
Let's do it.
Yeah,
the
so
booze?
we've got 2 pours here of your vodkas. Really quickly, vodka is more of a strength indicator than anything else.
Yeah, so you're remembering what we've talked about in the past. I'm sure what other people have talked about on here, that vodka can be made from anything, so it doesn't have many restrictions. The real restriction is that it has to be distilled out to at least 190 proof to technically be vodka. So it's a pretty pure alcohol. It's supposed to be odorless and tasteless. It often isn't.
So it really becomes a canvas for you on some level.
Correct. When we're making a flavored product, it's really sort of a canvas for us to then build off of. And so our vodkas are all 100% yellow sweet corn based, and they're the base is the same as our straight vodka, which is 5 times distilled, and then filtered. Vodka also technically has to be filtered to be vodka.
And your distill, when you say 5 times distill, your still has how many plates as it goes up?
Well, some people use that number. That's not what we typically consider a distillation. Some people will use the number of plates because you are getting a redistillation through each.
It's been
each
distilled
plate in the column.
27 times.
Right. Or
So
it's
you're actually
139. But we always consider a distillation one pass through the system.
okay. So no matter how many plates are in the pipe, if it passes through once, that's a single distillation.
That's how we regard it.
Okay.
Other people will talk about it different ways, but that's what I regard. So I could say that my whiskeys are distilled, like the moonshine is distilled, 14 times, but really it's twice.
Got it.
Okay.
It's passing through twice.
Very good.
So this one is the Caviar Lime that we're tasting right now. So this is a really unique product for us. It's, to the best of our knowledge, the first of its kind. It's flavored with fresh, organic, locally grown in Santa Barbara County, Goleta technically, caviar limes, which are not fish eggs, but a rare type of lime, originally from Australia. And the reason they're called the caviar lime, and you can go on our website and see photos of them, is that the fruit inside comes out like fish roe, like caviar. It's really great for lots of fine dining uses like sushi and desserts and cocktails and anything you can really think of. They're sort of like little... I've had people compare them to, you remember Gushers candy?
Yes.
Sort of like that, where you get these like explosions of juice, or citrus pop rocks or other stuff. But really, we're pulling out the essential oils in the skin of the limes, like when you zest a lemon or zest a lime, and those really unique essential oils that are in the caviar lime that you don't find in any other citrus in the world are really what are flavoring this. There's no flavors that are created in a laboratory. It's just the real fresh limes that we use.
And I love the zest aspect of the caviar lime that he's using, because for me, there's not a sharp-edged citric punch of flavor like you're talking about. There's this beautiful essence of the caviar lime with even a little pinch of the pith, right? There's a little underlying, for me, like sweet but bitter pithiness that is then kind of meddled in a balanced way with the typical corn sweetness that you're getting out of your vodka, and that little bit of citric reflection of the skin itself.
Well, I was just going to talk about the sweetness, and the sweetness coming from this. And so what I'm hearing from you is that it's just the zest. You're not juicing these at all.
No.
And so it's just the zest. The sweetness that is the background flavor of the vodka then is coming from the corn.
Correct.
And so then, is it a tongue-in-cheek sort of odorless, tasteless, neutral spirit? I mean, you were talking about vodka as being this blank palate, but obviously we've had vodkas before that have a flavor to it.
Correct. I mean, the ones that are sold as plain or straight vodkas that you're really tasting that feedstock. I've certainly had several myself where you're really tasting that base that it was created from, which is technically not really the definition of vodka, but I've never really had a vodka that is truly odorless and tasteless. It's always got some notes, be it on the taste, on the finish. I think ours is largely on the finish. You get that little bit of corn sweetness. The same way like with our moonshines, you get some of that corn sweetness as well. But I think it complements the fruit elements very well.
Can I? You said feedstock. Is that a term that you're using for low grade corn?
No,
or
No, it's just for the grain used in general,
whatever sort of base sugar product is used. And sugar product, I mean, whether it's a fruit, if it's a grain, it could be sugar, but whatever that base product that you are using to ferment and create alcohol.
Well, I'm just thinking of really cheap vodkas in the neighborhood of like Phillips or McCormick, where it's $10 for a half gallon of, and how that burns and how it has a flavor to it.
I think you made an interesting association, though, because now hearing your question and thinking through Stephen's initial statement, you interpreted feedstock as the literal grain and feedstock, and I think, Stephen, if I interpreted your response back again, you're saying whatever's feeding the distillation process and the base product. And feedstock, I think, from an agricultural standpoint, right away is what hit us in, like, He's talking about like that crappy corn and barley that they throw out for the cows. And
That's
you're
barely
saying,
keeping the cows alive through the winter
And you're
until
like, no,
they
no,
can
no.
eat
This
until
is
they can eat
whatever's
alfalfa again.
feeding my distillation
Right.
adventure.
Okay.
Exactly. Whatever that base.
So feedstock
product
from
that is
his
distilled.
perspective, not
There you go.
feedstock from an
Okay.
animal's perspective.
So the feedstock could be if we are making a product from strawberries or from grapes or from corn or barley or wheat or whatever. It's not. We're trying to depict the grade of that product.
Okay.
Or something that's eaten by animal.
Okay. Right.
I'll-
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Curtis
was
drives
just
by
that-
a lot of farm fields on his way home.
Well,
I do.
And you know, we are animals ourselves in a way, aren't we?
Wait,
So-
what? What? No.
Son of a-
Speak for yourself,
Yeah.
man. Okay,
This is for
Uh-oh.
anyone listening to this podcast as your first. That right there is an indicator that it's late in the evening and we're near the end of our show tonight because you just got super deep and philosophical.
I'm
right?
glad you brought that
Yeah.
up because right before we got into some serious conversation about vodka, I was going to mention that this is 3 drinks into this, and we're a little livelier now than we were, say, an hour and a half ago. But so we're drinking the caviar and lime.
This is, I think, though, to be serious about the product, we talked about some nuances of it. It's a unique ingredient for vodka that, there's some brands out there that have these crazy vodka flavors. They got the cotton candy and the blue raspberry and the chocolate cake and all these different
Whipped
things.
cream.
You're using a very natural product. It's got a really awesome balance and flavor. I'm going to keep bypassing that.
It's just
This,
cream.
I think,
Are you 21-year-old lady now, Curtis?
I am. I like the pink, and I like the
underneath
whipped
his hard
cream.
candy shell, he's a 21-year-old lady.
Yeah, this chiseled exterior. All
But
right.
I think that this is a really quality product that stands alone in the natural sense of just an ice cube and a relaxing, just sit-down kind of beverage. Whereas some of these other, when you think of a flavored vodka, we're talking about this theme of flavored vodkas. Some of those are so artificial, like you keep alluding to. I mean, how do you get...
You need the club soda in order to mix down the artificial.
Yeah, there's no way you're getting creme brulee as a natural flavoring in a creme brulee vodka. It's just... Come on.
I put real creme brulee in my vodka. No, I absolutely. This is. I find it's a real clean expression of the actual fruit, and with some of those, those other crazy flavored stuff, because it's so chemical based, that flavor just cuts through so strong, and you need to try and water it down. And even then, when you mix it into a cocktail or something, it's still just sort of poking through.
Yeah, it's
So
almost medicinal. It's just
Yeah.
it's just hanging out there.
So that being said, can we do a little comparison?
Well, the other thing too is I don't think these need an ice cube. I mean, if you were going to do this, I would say maybe a stone. If you happen to have something like that in your refrigerator, if you were looking to chill it down, I don't think I would want to water this down at all. And that's been a theme throughout all of the spirits that we've tasted this evening is the character,
You
that
might be-
the smooth character of all of these, where they don't need the water. You may prefer them to be chilled,
And I think that's a cool distinction that I wasn't conveying well. Is strictly from a crispness and a brightening of the flavors. That cool aspect, I think, would help heighten some of the caviar lime. But watering it down, I think you're right. It may thin out the flavor. I guess my picture is sitting in a cabin somewhere in Colorado in the middle of winter in front of a fire. I may want this to be just a
tub.
little chill versus the hot fire on the bearskin rug, but not affecting the flavor or the texture of the vodka. So
I'm imagining this like Burt Reynolds moment on the bearskin rug there, but
with my Trans Am parked out front.
exactly. But
I want to see you with a Burt Reynolds mustache.
No, you
You
don't.
could do it.
you can do it.
Yeah,
can
you
do it.
got.
But I certainly respect it. I often drink this neat, but I do many times do pour it over some ice, and especially the summertime. It's really hot in the distillery, and sometimes it's nice just to have it a little chilled. But if you didn't want it to be watered down at all and you wanted it cold, I would warn people that because this is flavored with that real citrus oil, if you put this in your fridge or your freezer, it will luge on you, is the term that we use. It has a turbidity to it, so what that means is that it will go cloudy. And there's nothing wrong with the product. It's not, it hasn't gone bad. Vodka doesn't really go bad. But those citrus oils that are in suspension in the alcohol will come out of suspension when it's chilled down like that. So it'll go cloudy. It tastes exactly the same. It just looks a little different.
Interesting.
But it's a sign that it's the real deal, that it's not those
It's
nasty
not the
chemicals.
chemicals.
That's a cool disclaimer that I think it behoove them to keep that in their back pocket, because from a quality control standpoint, you want to make sure your consumers know what they're getting into.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent a bottle to my mentor in Colorado, and had been sitting out on his front step in the winter, for a day before he brought it in. He was like, "Oh no, it's all But as soon as he kept it in, his office for half an hour and warmed right up, and it immediately went back to being clear.
Bottle shock.
There you go. Yeah.
Sort of.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the other set we've got here is now I'm going to mix the Ghost. I keep on it. It's Ghost Chilli.
Ghost Chilli.
Ghost
Ghost
Chilli.
Chilli.
Yeah, that's the Butjaloki.
Butjalokia.
Better, even better. I've had this ground up into a paste with caramelized carrots, onions, and a couple things, and slathered on top of a beautifully grilled prawn. This is a no joke kind of pepper.
This is one of the world's spiciest chili peppers.
There's only one right now claim to fame above it, and that's because I think people keep tweaking and
hybridizing and doing other stuff to push it up.
But this is a traditionally an Indian pepper.
Correct.
And Curtis, the Butjalokia. Say it one more time.
Butjalokia.
Butjalokia. I love the way he says that. This was in India is frequently used as a deterrent and smeared on fences to prevent elephants from blasting through them. This is not something to play around with.
I know. If I was an elephant and I had a habit of, say, rubbing my ass against a fence post, and then you smeared this paste on it, I think that would, say, deter me from...
We really are 3 drinks in when you're talking about rubbing your ass on things.
I have no words.
If I was an elephant, I was just saying. And so that doesn't make me feel any better about drinking this or eating a ghost pepper.
You want me to push the limit even further?
There you go.
The Indian military has actually weaponized the ghost chili into these smoke grenades. I don't know if it's for crowd control or
Pepper
what,
spray.
but
To try to bring you back though, Curtis. So a lot of things have habanero in them, and part of why I saw your eyes light up a little bit, like, wow, you've had this ground into a paste. There's a restaurant in Santa Barbara, the Brewhouse, a small microbrewery that also has a really cool menu and restaurant. They have these prawns. They're like a challenge, right? They have the habanero prawn, and they have the ghost chili prawn. They're distinctly different. So when we talk about the flavor profiles of the chilies, it's the cruel prawn and the extreme cruel prawn. Habanero, for me, is very hot up front. It's going to give you a blast of that capsaicin. Your senses are going to tingle, and then it starts to finish into a brightness and almost a fruity vegetal thing, if you can endure it. And honestly, some people can't. It's just hot. On the flip side, the Butjalokia, for me, had this really, and for a short time, just albeit, but it had this really beautiful depth of richness. There was a chocolatey, smoky aspect that came out, and then all of a sudden the heat kicked in. Now again, they're doing theirs as a paste on these grilled prawns. The prawn has a sweetness already to it. They're caramelizing onions and carrots and then blending it all together. But it was really cool to see how the two peppers were almost in contrast to each other and where the heat kicked in. So I'm curious about how it plays with the vodka.
Well, the vodka, you'll find it will actually hit you up front first, and then it will slowly dissipate. You'll still get a little tingle, but which is in contrast to if you ate the ghost chili. And the reason it got the name, the sort of westernized name of ghost chili, is because it sneaks up on you. So when you eat it at first, it doesn't seem so bad, and then it gets hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, and then you're asking someone to take you to the hospital or something, or you're eating all the vanilla ice cream that they have at the grocery store.
Yes.
But just like when you're cooking with habaneros or anything, it's all about ratios. You don't need to, where you might use 2 jalapenos, you use half a habanero or something. So it's all about careful balance of the ratios. And I did make some earlier spicy versions. One of them I had my friend from Hong Kong taste, and he said, that's perfect, but it's too strong for Caucasians. That's great for Asia, but not for here.
Okay.
So it's, dialed it down a little bit more and tried to find a place where it was spicy enough for chili heads, but not so spicy that your average layperson wouldn't be able to enjoy it, especially in cocktail
So
expressions.
Curtis, we've already touched on your anxious approach to this beverage. You just mentioned the chili heads, Stephen. What did you see in the market that drove you to do this expression?
Not enough, really. There are some popular sort of chili pepper products out there, but I find that they largely have a sort of vegetative green bell pepper quality to them. And so I chose to use these great hardwood smoked ghost chilies that are actually from India. I get them through a great spice purveyor up in Oakland. And I think it has a lot more depth of character with that smoky element to it that makes it a lot more interesting and a lot more applicable in other cocktails or even straight. I mean, there's a guy who works for our distributor who every time we're at an event with this, he comes over and is like, he wants a full ounce shot because that's usually the biggest class we have. He wants that whole thing filled with this, and he'll come back for more because he loves it.
So when we're thinking about this, and especially thinking about it neat, we have the heat of the alcohol. There's going to be some heat from the pepper. But you mentioned hardwood smoked. So how much complexity is there going to be?
Well, I guess
Should we
you'll
taste and
find
find
out.
out?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's good complexity. It's not like it's like a Lagavulin or Lafroig or
Okay.
something where it's not peat smoke, but it's got some nice smoky character.
But
to
again, looking at the market, you didn't feel, although there are crap loads of hot sauces and hot kitschy products, you didn't feel like the vodka or the liquor industry had enough.
Well, my main thought was for one of the more popular cocktails, which is the Bloody Mary. There's a lot of Bloody
Okay.
Marys sold. I know I like one with brunch on certain occasions, and personally, I don't like that there's so much vinegar because of the use of hot sauce. I don't think that my Bloody Mary needs vinegar to it. So having a nice sort of smoky, spicy vodka that I could use instead of a hot sauce, I think is great. But then we found all sorts of other expressions that are great for it. And we'll hopefully play around with one for the last call here. But
All right.
Cheers.
Well,
Let's do it, Curtis.
I'm
Cheers.
excited to taste it.
just try a little sip first if you're afraid.
Well, and just coming from my adventurous spirit and trying new things, I'm happy to give it a shot. One of the reasons that I passed on that, I should have taken a drink before I saw his face. But when we were, the whole prawn thing was how he melted in the seat next to me when he decided to eat it. I'm like, oh,
But you
this
know, I
is-
tell you, this is right in line because I love those things up there. I love the prawns for numerous reasons, and there's no denying the impact it has on you. But the flavor keeps me coming back. This is very reminiscent of that prawn. There's this really cool depth. There's a little smoky, savory aspect. So yeah, there's some heat that kicks in up front. There's no doubt about the tingle, but it's a fun little tingle. Your whole palate lights up, and now that I'm inhaling some breaths and bringing oxygen across my palate, there's a lot of nice, smoky, almost like outdoor barbecue smoked meat flavor and that little bit of vegetal heat that you would expect from a hot pepper.
It's got great umami.
Umami, yes, the fifth flavor palette, or the fifth flavor zone.
and
He just did that, Curtis.
he just went there
Yeah.
with the umami
And
bit.
he's right on.
Right. Well, and just thinking back to a past comment that Steven made too was about the Lagavulin or the Lafroig. It's not peat smoke, and peat, I have a very low tolerance for peat, and it takes, I can't drink those two scotches because of that, and it doesn't take much for it to become Band-Aid. This is not Band-Aid. This is smoke,
Yeah.
and it continues to be smoke.
I just took I took a very conservative taste initially, but Steven, if I had, I'd tip it. This is not an every night drink, but this is a really cool vodka. I'm kind of taken back. My mind went to my trip a handful of months ago to Yosemite. We were at this riverbed amongst these huge trees with a charcoal grill cooking meat. There's a lot of influence that I'm getting out of this glass that reflects that experience. This is a really cool, balanced, hot vodka with complexity and flavor.
And coming from somebody who has a low heat, spicy heat threshold like I do, this wasn't over the top. It was near the top 3/4 of my, the top quarter of my tolerance. But I could see this being used in a wonderful way in a Bloody Mary, like what you were talking about, that this would be a fabulous addition to replacing that and then kicking out the vinegar flavors that you were talking about.
This is nice. Cheers.
And thank you. And we find that this and the lime pair very well together.
Is this what you were alluding to a few minutes ago?
It is, and we'll do something. We'll figure out what we're doing. But one of the ones that actually, it was largely because of fans at an event we were doing, where we were doing vodka tonics with a caviar lime, which is a great cocktail. But they were also tasting the ghost chili neat, and they went, ooh. And they poured the ghost chili as a float on top of the caviar lime vodka tonic, and it was awesome. So that lime and chili is such a classic combination, especially in a place like, Mexico and southern, the Southwest here, in the Far East and the Indian subcontinent. So it's a really classic flavor combination that we find pairs up well, and we'll see what we end up doing. And there might be another thing that we do for our last call here. Yeah,
I'm excited. Unlike you, Curtis, who has a bulging liquor cabinet, I only have a very small offering in my cupboard of distinct products I really love and come out infrequently because I'm more of a beer guy typically. I appreciate a great spirit and cocktail, but in terms of sitting down at night, I often open a beer. This is a bottle that's going to make its way into my cupboard very, very soon. This is something that everyone should have as, if nothing else, and without disrespecting you as the master distiller, a conversation piece where you can pour a little in a glass and sit down with some friends and say, you got to try this and experience it with me. If you're not having a full cocktail or a full drink, at least have it handy to get some good discussion going.
Absolutely. And it's also surprising, something that goes very well with our strawberry products as well, where it sort of brings out that strawberry flavor even more. I know we were talking about balsamic vinegar earlier, but if you've ever tried putting black pepper on a strawberry, you get that similar sort of heightened expression of the strawberry.
And Curtis, he recommended ice cream for you too to cool this down. What if we put this a drizzle over some butter pecan ice cream?
I've never tried it.
Some sweet vanilla cream with that little.
Where did our pastry chef go?
Damn it, Anastasia, stay longer for the show. But I think for some reason that just popped in, like a really cool black walnut or a butter pecan ice cream. We're getting some of that bitter skin of the nuts and the creamy sweetness of the ice cream. It sounds like we might have another show.
It goes very well with sort of sweet pairings where you get that spicy and sweet, or citrus pairings. So
I'm looking forward to
whipping it up with something.
Mixing these two together, actually, the lime and the spice, putting just actually adding the spice into the lime so I can regulate that just a little bit. But it's the chili lime thing is always a nice, and lime and heat in general is always a nice compliment.
Something to look forward to.
Right.
Next segment.
Yeah, next segment will be last call, where we'll just let it all loose, right?
Absolutely.
Because we've been holding it back here for several hours of some spirits tasting here with Stephen Gertman from Ascendant Spirits. Go to ascendantspirits.com, find out about him.
Follow Happy Hour Joby and Curtis on iTunes to get all the past episodes.
There you go, and then go back to the back episodes. You can learn. We didn't talk about it this time, but we've had conversations about the heads and the tails and the heart. Find it so that you can learn about what distillation actually is, how it works, and why we can drink moonshine here without worrying about going blind or dying tomorrow. I mean, and
that's the amazing closeout, Curtis.
and so that you can feel comfortable going in, and even if you're buying moonshine that comes in a mason jar, oh my God, don't do that. But if you are going and buying moonshine in a mason jar, unless you drink the whole thing.
A core reason to listen to the Happy Hour with Joby and Curtis show is to make sure you know how to not go blind or die from drinking
Right,
spirits.
and pick the spirits and pick high quality.
That's the
spirits.
value that we bring to the market.
It was missing, and we filled that gap.
We'll be back with the chili
S-
ghost.
We'll be back with something.
It's going to be a really cool combination of the caviar lime. You got me all kerfluffled. Caviar lime and ghost chili mix.
I
from
don't know
Ascendant
why the
Spirits.
truth is kerfuffling you.
We'll see it in a few
Hey,
minutes.
thanks
We're
for
here to
listening
make sure
to
you don't
Happy
go
Hour with
blind and
Joby
die.
Curtis. If
Yeah,
you
handle
like
the
this
truth.
podcast,
That's right,
make sure
Jason.
you like us on iTunes.
This is Happy Hour.
You can
with
also
Joby and
find
Curtis,
us on
and we'll be
Facebook
right
under
back.
Happy Hour with Joby and Curtis. Give us a like and share it with all your friends. We'd appreciate it. Cheers.